Remember to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to embark on this journey with us as we unveil our latest tales. At 62, I never envisioned my life would lead me to this moment. Life, after all, was meant to unfold with certainty by this point. Each morning, I lost myself in the vibrant colors of my garden, nurturing life with my hands. The afternoons unfolded in serene solitude, pages of books whispering secrets to me. As dusk settled, I found solace beside my husband, Gregory. Our hearts entwined in the warmth of shared memories, reliving the tapestry of our past. But one fateful evening, a clandestine conversation unraveled the very fabric of my understanding, plunging me into a whirlwind of doubt and uncertainty. The tale began at a lavish corporate gala, a grand affair orchestrated by Gregory's company. For more than 30 years, he had toiled in that place, climbing the ladder with relentless commitment and an unyielding spirit. Arthur Kingsley, my boss, commanded a quiet authority that lingered in the air, a presence I had only brushed against in the realm of polite pleasantries at past gatherings. In his mid-60s, he stood tall and distinguished, exuding a quiet confidence that felt utterly effortless. The gala unfolded within the opulent confines of a downtown Chicago hotel, where grand chandeliers bathed the elegantly attired guests in a soft, inviting light, setting the stage for an unforgettable evening. The air buzzed with lively chatter, the rhythmic clink of glasses punctuating the atmosphere, while a sultry jazz band played a haunting melody in the dimly lit corner. Though I harbored little affection for such gatherings, finding solace in the familiar embrace of home, Gregory's insistence tugged at me. Reluctantly, I donned a simple navy blue dress, surrendering to his request to join him on this uncertain venture. At first glance, everything appeared to be perfectly ordinary. As Gregory delved into intense discussions with his colleagues, I found myself weaving through conversations with the other spouses, each exchange a thread in the tapestry of our shared experience. Everything changed the moment Richard stepped into my life. "Claire, may I have a moment?" he asked, his deep voice cutting through the clamor of the room. I paused, uncertainty creeping in. A moment? What could Gregory's boss possibly want from me? I offered a polite smile and nodded, allowing him to guide me through a shadowy side corridor far from the vibrant chaos of the main ballroom. The air hung heavy with silence, the vibrant sounds of the gala retreating into the distance, leaving only the whispers of the night around us. He led me into a secluded lounge, a snug haven bathed in soft light, where the flickering flames of the fireplace danced against the rich leather of the armchairs. A palpable tension hung in the air, subtle yet impossible to ignore. My heart raced as I settled into the chair opposite him, the tension in the air palpable. "I hope I'm not pulling you away from anything important," he said, his voice laced with a hint of apprehension as a small smile flickered across his face. "Not at all," I replied, though the curiosity swirling within me was impossible to ignore. "What's on your mind?" he sighed, rubbing his hands together, as if grappling with the weight of unspoken thoughts. Finally, he broke the silence. "It's about Gregory." My heart raced, and I straightened in my chair, a knot forming in my stomach. "Is something wrong?" He paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "Not exactly, but there's something I think you should know." The air thickened with anticipation, and I could sense the gravity of his words before they even escaped his lips. His expression held a weight that sent a shiver down my spine, a silent intensity that quickened my heartbeat. "Claire," he continued, his voice a blend of warmth and resolve, "I've known Gregory for a long time. I've witnessed him forge his path, uplift his peers, and nurture his loved ones. Amidst the chaos, a realization began to dawn on me. I gulped, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. What could it possibly be? He leaned in closer, his eyes piercing into mine with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. He doesn't appreciate you the way he should. The words struck me like a heavy stone, sinking deep into my chest. My breath hitched, and a surge of defensiveness surged within me. I don't understand, I stammered, confusion swirling around me like a storm. He's always been. Richard nodded, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. I know he is. But tell me, Claire, when was the last time he really looked into your soul? Not just as his wife, but as the regretable woman you are. My lips parted, ready to speak, yet silence enveloped me, leaving me breathless. He pressed on, his voice now a whisper, laced with an intensity that drew her in closer. I've caught the glances you steal when he's lost in his own world, oblivious to your gaze. I've seen you linger in the shadows at gatherings like these, while he immerses himself in his tasks. You pour out your heart, but does he ever return the favor? A tightness gripped my throat. I yearned to argue, to assert his mistake, yet a flicker of doubt stirred within me. I don't mean to overstep, Richard murmured, his body tilting back ever so slightly, a hint of tension in the air. But sometimes an outsider sees what those inside cannot. I exhaled slowly, my thoughts swirling like a tempest. Richard's gaze pierced through me, and after a moment he offered a small, knowing smile that hinted at secrets untold. Claire, you deserve to be seen. The words resonated deep within me, awakening a part of my soul I never knew was there. For the first time in ages, uncertainty washed over me, leaving my emotions tangled and elusive. I remained motionless, a statue caught in a moment of sheer disbelief. Richard's words reverberated in my mind, awakening a deep-seated turmoil I wasn't prepared to face. You deserve to be seen. Had I truly lingered in the shadows for so long? I yearned to dismiss his words as nothing more than a casual observation, a misguided gesture of goodwill. Yet, buried deep within, a part of me recognized the truth in his statement. Gregory was a good man, a diligent provider, steadfast and dependable. Yet, in the hushed moments that held weight, when had he last truly seen me? When had he last acknowledged the subtle ways I endeavored to infuse our life with warmth and vibrancy? The meticulous way I folded his shirts, just as he preferred. The way I filled our home with his favorite things, each item a reminder of the life we built together. The way I stood by his side through every triumph, celebrating his victories as if they were my own. I cleared my throat, forcing back the lump that had settled there, a weight of memories pressing down on me. Richard. I raised a hand, halting my words. I don't want to make you uneasy, Claire, but I couldn't remain silent, watching the truth unfold before me. I exhaled slowly, the weight of the moment settling in. Your honesty is something I truly value. I finally spoke, my voice barely above a whisper. Gregory and I had shared decades of our lives together. Marriage, I realized, transcends mere visibility. It revolves around unwavering commitment, a foundation of stability. Richard nodded, a knowing glint in his eyes. I understand. And I respect that. He leaned forward slightly, his gaze unwavering, as if daring me to confront the truth. But have you ever asked yourself what you truly want? The question hung in the air, heavy and charged, waiting for an answer that felt just out of reach. For years, I had been consumed by the lust or Yeah, our hers of fate. In the chaos of it all, I had never paused to consider my own desires, to uncover what I truly wanted. A nervous laugh escaped my lips, echoing in the lavish surroundings. Richard, this is quite the conversation to be having at a corporate gala, I said, watching as a smile broke across his face. I suppose it is. Yet, an undeniable urge compelled me to voice it. A heavy silence enveloped us, punctuated solely by the gentle crackling of the fireplace. With a heavy sigh, he rose to his feet. I should let you get back, he said, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. I stood as well, my fingers nervously smoothing the fabric of my dress. A tremor of uncertainty coursing through me. Yes, Gregory will wonder where I am. Richard nodded, yet his expression held a mystery that sent a shiver down my spine. Claire had made me promise one thing, and the weight of it lingered in the air. I tilted my head, curiosity igniting within me. What was that? Don't brush aside my words. Ponder them deeply. With a moment of uncertainty, I finally nodded, the weight of the decision settling in. He offered a faint smile, a glimmer of encouragement, before stepping aside and motioning toward the door, inviting me into the unknown. As I brushed past him, a palpable warmth lingered in the air. The weight of our earlier conversation still heavy on my chest. The gala pulsed with life when I returned, and there was Gregory, exactly where I had left him, engrossed in animated discussion with his colleagues. At first, he was oblivious to my presence. I lingered in the shadows, observing him intently. His face was alive with expression, his hands dancing through the air as he spoke. It was a side of him I had always cherished, his fervor, his relentless ambition. But then Richard's words echoed in my mind. Had Gregory ever regarded me with that same intensity? When he finally turned his gaze in my direction, our eyes briefly met, and he offered a fleeting nod before returning to his discussion, leaving me in a whirlwind of uncertainty. Something deep within me stirred. Richard had sown a seed, and despite my efforts to dismiss it, I felt its roots taking hold. The journey home was enveloped in silence. Gregory sat beside me, his hands clenched around the wheel, his eyes locked onto the shadowy road stretching before us. The city lights flashed by in a dizzying haze, yet my thoughts were trapped in a different realm. Richard's words reverberated in my mind, his voice haunting me with an intensity I couldn't escape. You deserve to be seen. I caught a fleeting glimpse of Gregory. He appeared weary, a subtle line of tension etched between his brows. Nearly 40 years of marriage had etched every detail of his face into my memory. The sharp lines of his jaw, the crinkle of his eyes when laughter erupted, the way his lips pressed together in deep thought. Each feature was a familiar landscape, yet I found myself questioning, when had he last truly seen me? The silence hung heavy until he cleared his throat, shattering the stillness between us. Did you have a good time tonight? The question sliced through the air, unexpected and sharp. He posed it after every event, every gathering, every dinner party, as if it were a ritual, a formality rather than a true inquiry. I paused, the weight of my response hanging in balance. It was intriguing. He nodded, lost in thought. Good, good. And just like that, the conversation faded into silence. I shifted my gaze back to the window, the city fading into the distance as we ventured toward the tranquil suburb. Upon our arrival, Gregory fell into his familiar routine. Jacket discarded, keys clattering onto the counter, before he vanished into his office, seeking solace in the glow of his computer screen. For one last email check, I lingered in the kitchen, my eyes fixed on the void he had just left behind, a silence echoing in the space where he had stood moments before. Anger wasn't what I felt towards him, not in the traditional sense. Gregory had always been this way, unwavering in his commitment, steadfast in his rituals. He had provided me with a life of comfort and safety. Yet Richard's words had stirred a deep, unsettling truth within me, one that refused to be silenced. As I made my way to the bedroom, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, the reflection revealing more than just my face. At 62, I stood at the crossroads of time. My once vibrant auburn hair now bore the elegant streaks of silver, each strand a testament to the journey I had undertaken. Faint lines etched across my face whispered stories of laughter, sorrow, and the passage of countless seasons. Yet my eyes remained unchanged. Within their depths, I uncovered a feeling that had long eluded me: loneliness. I had always thought this was simply the nature of growing older, this subtle retreat into the shadows, this slow descent into monotony. But now, for the first time, a question stirred within me. Was it really? The following morning, as Gregory stepped out for work, he pressed a kiss to my cheek and said, "I'll be home late." A pivotal client meeting loomed ahead. I nodded, a subtle smile playing on my lips. It was time to step up. Be safe. And just like that, he vanished into the shadows. I lingered in the doorway, the weight of his words hanging in the air, before finally retreating into the dimness of the room. Typically, my days were consumed by errands, housework, or tending to the garden. But today, an unsettling restlessness coursed through me. Before I could second-guess myself, I grabbed my phone and dialed a number I never imagined I would. Richard answered on the second ring. "Claire." His voice held a subtle hint of surprise. I inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of the moment. "Do you have time for a cup of coffee?" I asked, my heart racing as silence enveloped us. Then, with a gentle tone, he replied, "Of course." An hour later, I was seated across from him in a secluded cafe by the shimmering lake, the air thick with unspoken words and anticipation. The rich aroma of roasted coffee beans mingled with the sweet scent of fresh pastries, enveloping the cafe in a warm embrace. Outside, the autumn leaves twirled gracefully in the crisp breeze, a vibrant tapestry of colors. Richard's gaze met mine, filled with a quiet curiosity that hinted at unspoken questions and hidden depths. Uncertainty hung in the air as I stirred my coffee, the cream swirling and merging with the dark liquid-like thoughts intertwining in my mind. Would I hear from you? Would I even dare to call? He nodded, anticipation hanging in the air. I exhaled slowly, the weight of his words pressing down on me. Thoughts swirled in my mind, echoing the significance of what he had said. His expression was a mask, impenetrable and still. I paused, heart racing, before finally locking eyes with him. "You were right." Something flickered in his eyes, an elusive spark that eluded my grasp. "Claire," I interjected softly, "I'm not saying I regret my life. Gregory and I have forged something strong, something undeniably real. Yet, somewhere in the shadows of my journey, I lost the ability to yearn for something that was truly mine. Richard leaned in, his gaze piercing through the silence. I felt a lump rise in my throat, heavy and unyielding. A heavy silence enveloped us, punctuated only by the distant murmur of conversation swirling in the air. At last, Richard broke the stillness, his voice barely above a whisper. I yearned for his happiness, yet as I gazed into his eyes, I truly saw him for the first time. Here was a man with no obligation to step into my world, no motive to utter the words he had spoken, save for the fact that he had glimpsed a spark within me that I had yet to recognize myself. In that moment, clarity struck like lightning. I found myself frozen, eyes locked on Richard, who sat just across the small cafe table. My fingers curled tightly around the warmth of my coffee cup, a fragile shield against the storm brewing within me. All I could think was, I just want you to be happy. His words lingered in the air, weighty yet tender, like a truth I had been evading for far too long. For years, I had convinced myself that contentment sufficed, that security, stability, and loyalty formed the foundation of a fulfilling life. And indeed they did. Yet Richard had unearthed a hidden part of me, a void I hadn't realized existed, a desperate yearning to truly feel. I inhaled deeply, the heaviness of my thoughts bearing down on me like a storm. Richard, I find myself lost in this chaos. His gaze deepened, a warmth spreading through the tension. You don't have to face it alone, Claire. Consider what truly brings you joy. When did you last indulge in something solely for your own sake? I began to speak, but hesitated. When was that moment? For years, I had devoted myself to supporting Gregory, safeguarding his career, nurturing his ambitions, and preserving his world. I had meticulously crafted a life steeped in order and routine. Yet, a question loomed over me. What about my own identity? As I took a sip of my coffee, the rich, bitter warmth enveloped me, offering a fleeting sense of grounding. Who am I beyond the confines of my marriage? I found myself surprised by my own admission. Richard offered a small, knowing smile, as if he understood the weight of the moment. Perhaps it was time to uncover the truth. I released a shaky, breathy laugh, the sound tinged with unease. It felt terrifying, perhaps, but also thrilling, wouldn't you agree? I remained silent. I couldn't find the words, because deep within, I understood he was right. We lingered in silence, the world beyond our stillness thrumming with life. Cars zipped by. Laughter echoed in the air, and the wind whispered through the golden autumn leaves, each rustle a reminder of the vibrant life that surrounded us. Life surged forward, relentless and unyielding. Yet, in this moment, a flicker of necessity urged me to pause. I finally placed my cup down, locking my eyes with his, the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air between us. I can't predict what lies ahead, Richard, she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. But one thing is certain, I must begin to truly live once more. A smile flickered at the edge of his lips, hinting at the promise of new beginnings. That was all I needed you to understand. That night, when Gregory finally stepped through the door, I was already there, poised at the kitchen table, anticipation hanging thick in the air. He hardly glanced my way as he dropped his briefcase and loosened his tie. The tension between us palpable. Long day, he muttered, fatigue lacing his voice. I watched him. This man with whom I had woven a life. This man I had cherished for decades, feeling the weight of our shared history in the air between us. As he navigated the familiar rooms of the house, an invisible barrier loomed between us, a widening chasm I had failed to see take shape over the years. I inhaled deeply, summoning my courage. Gregory, can we talk? He hesitated, his gaze finally meeting mine. About what? I swallowed hard. About us? His brows knitted together, a flicker of concern in his eyes. What about us? I hesitated, the weight of unspoken truths pressing against my chest, before finally releasing the words that had been simmering within me since last night. I feel invisible, Gregory. He blinked, confusion flickering across his face. What? She continued, her voice trembling with unspoken emotions. I feel like I've spent years being the wife who supports you, the one who keeps everything running smoothly, ensuring that our life remains steady. And I do love you. Yet, somewhere along this winding path, I faded into the shadows, unseen. He frowned, his expression a mix of surprise and confusion. Claire, where's this coming from? I shook my head, the weight of unspoken truths pressing down on me. It's been lurking in the shadows for a long time, a silent companion I never dared to voice. He sank into the chair opposite me, his hand dragging across his face in a gesture of frustration. I had no idea you felt this way. My gaze locked onto him, searching for the truth hidden in his eyes. Did you ever wonder? He remained quiet, and in that fleeting moment, a painful truth dawned on me. Gregory wasn't a bad husband after all. He didn't intend to be cruel or neglectful. He had merely believed, as I did, that marriage was synonymous with routine, that the warmth of comfort would suffice. We had stopped checking in on each other like we used to, but deep down, we knew that wasn't truly living. It certainly wasn't love. Not anymore. What are you saying? He finally asked, his voice laced with caution. I took a deep breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on me. I must reclaim my life, to live for myself once more. His expression shifted, a hint of fear creeping into his features. Are you leaking me? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I paused, uncertainty swirling within me, then firmly shook my head. Uncertainty loomed over me, Gregory, like a storm ready to break. I felt the weight of my reflection, a haunting reminder that I couldn't continue down this path. If our marriage was to endure the trials ahead, a transformation was not just desired, it was essential. He stared at me, his gaze lingering, and in that moment, something ignited in his eyes, a spark of realization that had been dormant for years. Perhaps there was a glimmer of hope to mend what was broken. Perhaps there wasn't. Yet, for the first time in decades, I felt an undeniable urge to uncover the truth.